5 minutes to get this done, diddly dun dun. Welcome back to Who the F***. It's the show that aims to take a deep dive into some of the acts announced of Reading and Leeds 2019. In today's video, we're looking at Bexey. Yes, Bexey. A very peculiar artist. He's from Essex in the UK and is set to play this year's Reading and Leeds Festivals for the second time. If you've never heard of Bexey before, hopefully this video will help answer the question, who the f*** is Bexey?
Shut the lights off, bitch, I don't wanna see a thing. Got the sound out, baby, I don't wanna hear shit. Turn my mind off quick, I don't even wanna think. How did I get here? Take me back, disappear.
Bexey Swan, known simply to his fans as Bexey, is a UK rapper that sounds like an American rapper. He's from Romford in Essex, which is just kind of east of London, for those that don't know. Currently residing in Los Angeles, but he's kind of like no one that I've ever watched or seen before. He said in an interview with the BBC that he really doesn't like being pigeonholed, but I would put his music in a similar camp as those like Juice WRLD or Lil Peep. The kind of emo rappers, if you will. In that same interview with BBC, he talks about how he was best friends with Lil Peep, who tragically died at the end of 2017, a very early point in his career. He recently sat down with Annie Mac to talk about some of his musical influences, mentioned that his dad used to listen to a lot of Thin Lizzy and Metallica. Never cared for what they do. His kind of siblings would listen to a lot of garage and drum and bass and grime music.
You're gonna block Kane, drop Kane. You're not a hot shot Kane, you're a punk and I know it Kane.
I think at this point it's probably worth mentioning that I don't actually hear any of those influences in his music. But the fact that I already know that he's English, I would have assumed he was American. But if you were to say bands like Funeral for a Friend or The Used were influential to him, or rappers like Lil Wayne,
a millionaire, I'm a young money millionaire, tougher than Nigerian,
then I would probably agree more. But certainly none of the artists or bands mentioned above. He certainly has way more of a US sound than a UK sound, and he looks a lot like, well, kind of nothing I've ever seen before, but it draws more of a comparison to kind of more of the mumble rappers. Lots of face tattoos, weird hair, grills. But if they kind of gothed it up a bit and kind of took Keith Flint from The Prodigy as an influence.
I'm the fear addicted, danger illustrated.
Especially when it comes to hairstyles, that one at the moment. Incredible. He kind of feels a little bit to me like the emo rapper's answer to Youngblood.
The teenage everyday cliche pressure.
The two of them I feel could collaborate quite nicely. His most popular song is a record called Stay Alive featuring Fat Nick.
Stay alive for me, and I'll stay alive for you. Would you even cry for me? Because I would love you. Just look me in my eyes so I know it's real.
Currently sound 8.2 million views. But he recently released the record Go Getter.
I'm a go-getter, it's in my bloodline, you know better. You be hustling a pussy boy, don't stress it.
Which was featured on the World Star Hip Hop's YouTube channel. For those that don't know, World Star Hip Hop is a huge part of kind of US hip hop culture, and has been for a long time now. That's had 3.7 million hits since the end of November. It's a record for me that actually shows that as an artist, Bexey has bars, he has the ability to dance around different flows.
White gold with the diamonds frozen, yeah, I get it going, dripping like a surfer that just stepped about the coldest. Whoa, whoa.
You know, I think on the surface of it, it would be very quick to just go, no, absolutely not, what the f is this? But I think if you really listen to this and some of his other music, the beats are different, the tempo's different, the lyrical content is quite different. But for me, the flow is the biggest part here. He really has different kind of timbre and characters in his voices, something that I think people like Nicki Minaj and Kendrick Lamar do really well. But he also has this great, unique sound to him. I would just like to hear him explore that a bit more. And the more I listen to this track, the more I take him a little bit more seriously. When I first saw it, I just was like, what the fuck is this? But you know, the more I listen to it, the more I'm kind of getting addicted to it. So, He played Reading and Leeds last year on the pit stage. Weird. Not sure. But his stage for this year hasn't been announced yet, but it doesn't look like he's going to be on either the Radio 1 stage or the main stage. So it's anyone's guess. Maybe the one extra stage? Probably the one extra stage, but I don't know how one extra he is either. I don't know, it's a really hard one. He's yet to release a full album. He's released a few singles and some EPs, but not an album yet. And the minute he does, I will certainly be giving that a listen, because I think with Go Getter, he's really starting to break out of this kind of standard 140 triplet flow that everyone seems to be doing, and going into dancing around, experimenting a bit more. His beats already were different from a lot of the kind of mumble rappers, but even more so than what the kind of emo rappers have been doing up until now as well. But with a second booking for this year, I would imagine we'll probably see an album before this year's festival. I really can't work him out. I've watched and read a couple of interviews with him. I've read into some of the lyrics on his songs. You know, usually these videos I spend, if I don't know an artist, I'll spend probably an hour and a half researching them. This was a good 3.5 hours, and this was yesterday I was doing it. I'm still today getting more and more obsessed. Kind of in a similar way that I was to Youngblood when I first started looking into him. Just a really confusing thing for my head. He's either one of the most open songwriters in the world, something that I think is really important, especially if you're going to be dealing with issues like mental health. But there's something about, and I don't know if this is just my gut reaction, there's something about his music and his persona that feels really false. So he's either the strangest, most unique artist around at the moment, or he's the most manufactured. And I just can't work it out. I recently saw that Frank Carter had posted an image of him on Instagram, which makes me think, like, he's a smart guy, so it makes me think that it's probably the former. But after doing some YouTube digging, I think Lil Tracy seems to think it would be the latter.
Bexey, suck a dick. People used to tell me he ain't even with you like that.
I could also imagine a reality in which artists are going to ride the waves of the death and passing of Lil Peep to gain more success for their career. I'm not saying that's what's happened here, but it is possible. Musically, I quite like Go Getter. I think it's a really cool, bouncy record. And some of his other records are really different. They're using quite electronic, kind of almost noise-inspired stuff. It reminds me of things like Crystal Castles. But there's a lot of it which to me just sounds like every other emo rapper and mumble rapper out there. I detest the mumble rap scene. I don't detest the emo rap scene, and I think it's something that's just beginning to emerge. I think it's actually, you know, quite unique. But musically, it's not doing enough for me, and it feels like a lot of it is just on trend. That being said, we don't have a full album out for him yet. We've literally got a few singles, and some of them are really cool, and some of them are not so cool. So until I think we get a full body of work, I can't really pass a full judgment on him as an artist or his music. But he's seriously showing a lot of potential with Go Getter, that's for certain. So, as it currently stands, I really don't know how I think about Bexey as an artist. His live shows look absolutely crazy. There's some great footage you can watch online. And I can see a young, impressionable Reading Leeds crowd absolutely eating this up. His music really, certainly is quite unique. And I'm not sure if I love it or hate it, but I'm definitely open to checking out more as it comes out. So I guess there's a 50-50% chance of me going to see him if I'm not sure if I like him or hate him. So I suppose that means I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. Although, you know, I am feeling that's going to be going up. I think the hype for Bexey this year will be big. It's really interesting looking on these videos, looking at which artists are getting the most views, and you know, Youngblood is one that's really popular. Crewcast are bizarrely popular. The 1975 is by far the most popular video that I've released so far. But those artists that I assumed would be getting significantly more hits per video are getting significantly less than I assumed. So he may be one of those that are quite popular nearer the time. Let's have a little review of that nearer the time. How will we do that? We'll think about that. Thoughts in the comment section below as always. I'd love to know your thoughts on Bexey. Have you discovered him before? Are you a fan of his music? Is this something that you really don't like? Or is this something that you can't get enough of? I think the emo rap scene for me is something I find kind of different and confused about. therefore I really like it. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.